to 11. It's a Monday morning with a difference for me, Kath, on BBC Radio WM, broadcasting live from the ICC. This is, of course, one of Birmingham's biggest venues, and it is the home for the next couple of days of the Conservative Party conference. It's happened here several times before, but under pretty different circumstances from the one that's going on at the moment. Of course, an epic loss at that last general election, and now they need a new boss as well. So that is going to be a topic of conversation. But of course, here in the West Midlands, we're interested in what's going on here. And we have a lot of Conservative MPs and councillors, fewer MPs than we did have, but we are going to be talking to a couple of them. But before that, we are going to talk to some of the people that They run your areas. They are the council leaders, the councillors and the opposition as well. Councillor Meirion Jenkins, who is on the Conservative opposition on Birmingham City Council, and Doug Pullen, the leader of Lichfield District Council. Hello, both.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Kath.
Morning, nice to see you. So let's start with you, Meirion. Where are we at in terms of Birmingham City Council's fortunes? Because we know they're bad. We know that people are paying more council tax. We know that it's been over a year since that effective bankruptcy. And there still seems to be a little bit of uncertainty over exactly how much debt there should be or not.
Yes, there's huge uncertainty. Even though the country has only been experiencing a terrible Labour government for a few months, I'm sure the country will sympathise with the people of Birmingham who've been living with this type of incompetence for over a decade. As you rightly say, Kath, a year ago, it was identified that the City Council was effectively bankrupt. Now, obviously, a local authority can't go bankrupt in the conventional sense that a commercial enterprise would, but the authority had got to the point where it didn't have enough money to pay its debts. It was insolvent. That was a year ago they knew that. Since then, they've identified that 300 million of savings have to be made on the current account, but Labour, over that 12 months, have only identified 150 million, not delivered, just identified 150 million. In the meantime, of the remaining 150 million, that's gone up by 50 million. So there's now another 200 million of savings that haven't even been identified, let alone delivered. So it's a catastrophic situation that I'm afraid are going to cost the residents of Birmingham dearly.
We've got the leader of Birmingham City Council in the hot seat with me for an hour on Thursday. So all of you listening will be able to have direct access for your questions at that point. Let me just say, though, it's the Conservative government. Some people would say they've been a terrible Conservative government for years before that. It's the Conservative government that brought in the commissioners that were meant to be sorting this out or helping sort it out. So what have they been doing?
Yes, we have a lot of people involved, and of course, over the course of the 10 years, there's been other people brought in to help and advise.
So these commissioners were there specifically to try and make sure the council was identifying those savings. Well, they failed to do that, haven't they?
You're absolutely right. When the authority goes bankrupt and the leading accountant, the finance director of the authority, issues this Section 114 notice, and it means that the City Council has gone bankrupt, the consequence of that is that the finance director, what we call a Section 151 officer, and then the commissioners will come in to run the authority.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They've been doing that for a year. So why haven't the Conservative appointed commissioners sorted this out?
I would like to see the commissioners take a more hands-on role in controlling the budget.
So they haven't been.
At the moment, the City Council is still being very much run by the Labour administration. They're the ones that are making a mess of it, and they're the ones that are failing to put things right. Now, yes, there is an argument for saying that the commissioners should be more hands-on because Labour clearly aren't going to be able to fix it.
Well, and they haven't been, and they have been doing that for a year, as you said. I mean, all anyone listening cares about as well, especially the residents of Birmingham, that they're paying extra council tax for less. And now we're hearing that maybe those identified savings aren't quite accurate, and maybe Birmingham's been treated a bit harshly because other councils have been in similarly difficult financial situations. A little bit different, yes, we've got other factors here, but that maybe they've had a little bit more help, or but Birmingham's been penalised more because it was the Conservative government involved.
No. If you look at the amount of money that comes from central government to local government, Birmingham does quite well. Certainly when you compare it with the other core cities. I think the point that you're alluding to there, Kath, is the calculation of the equal pay liability. Yeah, obviously we have to rely on professional advice in terms of assessing what that liability is. And bearing in mind, we had already been through a 1.2 billion equal payout up to 2017. We said in 2017 to the Labour administration, if you take these steps, you are in danger of incurring another equal pay liability. They went ahead, they did it anyway, and here we are now with an estimate of 800 million for the second round of equal pay. Now, some will argue it may be less. Obviously, it's only an estimate, but we have to rely on the estimate of the professional accountant.
Yeah, so the council does as well, the administration does.
Indeed. Plus the fact that external legal advice has been taken, which backs up those estimates. Now, it is quite possible in the course of time we may be able to negotiate some of these down. People may compromise. But I will say, in all the time I've been on Birmingham Labour Council, not one cost estimate has ever been an underestimate. So I think there's as much chance it'll be worse rather than better. If it's better, then that's great. But we have to run the council on the basis of a prudent assessment of what we think the liability is, not what we hope it might be at some future point.
And you're sounding dangerously like there's no politics to be had there, because everyone needs to be working together to get this fixed, basically, for people at the moment. They're moving to the right all the time, some of these candidates. Meirion, fancy giving me an idea of who you might be supporting?
I'd like to see the members have more say. Fundamentally, I don't like the idea where the members, who should be the ultimate authority in the party, are left with only two choices. I'd like to see more candidates put to the members. I think it would be a more healthy leadership debate, because the candidates wouldn't then be having to satisfy two different constituencies between the MPs who don't necessarily think, or many of the MPs who don't think in the same way as the members. So what I'd like to see is a more democratic selection process.
Okay, but you're not going to tell me who you would pick out of those four?
I'm not going to give you a name this morning.
I think this challenge might actually be beyond me, and I've never said that before in my life. Doug Pullen, leader of Lichfield District Council, Councillor Meirion Jenkins on the opposition at Birmingham City Council. Thank you very much.